Maybe you have been in this group for a while and you have been trying to implement some of the skills that I've been teaching you, and you listen to the lives and you are like, oh yeah, I should totally do that. And then you get home and you try and practice these things with your kids or with your partner, and you're like, what was I supposed to say? What was I supposed to do? And it just kind of all goes out the window. Or you are trying to implement something and it starts half working and then it just goes to crap. If that is you, this live is for you. One of the reasons that that happens is because it's a new skill that you are not yet proficient in. And so when we are not proficient, we make more mistakes. This doesn't mean that the skill doesn't work. This doesn't mean that it won't help. It just means that you are practicing and you don't know how to troubleshoot why it didn't work. So sometimes people will tell me, oh my gosh, my kids never listen to me, but I'm really good at boundaries, but we work on boundaries all the time. Or it takes forever to get my kids to do something, but and I've tried this, and this, but nothing ever works. That's because you don't have somebody to kind of look at the data with you and help you figure out where it's going wrong. Another reason it happens is because sometimes we have limiting beliefs around our kids, around ourselves, around our skills that get in the way of us being able to maintain a skill over the long term. So some people have ideas about who they are and what they're capable of that that tell them like, oh, I'm not good at sticking with things, or I can get things started, but it'll fall off eventually, or I'm not the kind of person who sticks with something for very long. Those limiting beliefs will always bring you back to the behaviors that feel like home for you. And so if the behaviors that feel like home for you are yelling at your kids, or or giving in because you have a hard time listening to somebody who's upset, um, or shutting down because you don't know how to handle conflict, all of those things that feel like home to you, you're going to return to them, even if you have the skills right in front of you. And it doesn't mean that you're not capable of learning them. It means that your brain has that wiring that has been developed and been reinforced for so many years that feels safe for you, that feels familiar for you, and nothing else works because you're just so used to returning to those habits. And it's really important when you are looking at these habits that you have that cause you or your loved ones pain, that you are kind to yourself about it. You develop those habits over time because they served you in some way. They helped you in some way, and they kept you safe, and they brought you to this point where you are today. And so when we are looking to shift into new habits, we want to put away the old habits with a lot of care and with a lot of compassion and a lot of gratefulness for how far they brought us. We talk a lot about wartime tools versus peacetime tools, and sometimes we developed wartime tools that that really helped us. And when we find ourselves in a peacetime situation, and that would be our home life with our kids or with our partner, when we find ourselves in a peacetime situation and we're still using our wartime tools, we cause more damage than we want to, than we need to. And if you didn't learn peacetime tools because growing up wasn't a peacetime environment, you don't have the skill set to succeed in peacetime. So you're going to keep recreating those same wartime situations because those are the situations in which your brain can be successful. So what we want to do is acknowledge that we don't want to live in wartime anymore. We don't want to have wartime tools anymore. We need to develop a new skill set. So if you've been in this group and you're trying to develop that new skill set, but you're still reverting back to your wartime tools, one of the reasons that happens is because your brain wants you to be successful. And because these new tools don't feel like home to you and don't feel like they'll work, your brain keeps bringing you back to what it thinks will help. Another thing is that another reason why the free tools might not feel like they're working is because there's really no accountability with the free tools. Now, some people can read a book or go to an online program or attend a webinar or a seminar and learn what they need to learn and implement it at home. But the vast majority of people need some sort of accountability. They need some place to process what they're working on. And when you're just watching here and maybe putting a comment here in the comments or in the chat or whatever, you are learning. That is helpful for your brain. But in order to make long-lasting changes, you'll likely need to have some interactions. I tell my clients when they're starting, you wouldn't attend, a Japanese lesson and expect to get on a flight and go to Japan and have any sort of meaningful conversation with anybody. And that's sort of what attending these lessons is like. It's like attending a class, but you're not actually interacting with another person. I'm sort of speaking to you, but you're not actually speaking to me. And I can't dive in there with you with what's going on. So you're listening and you will get benefit out of it. And I recommend that you do. And I recommend that you comment and ask as many questions as you can, because the more interactive you are, the more that you'll get out of it. Basically, the more conversational you are, the better you'll get at practicing the skills. So what I've learned in the years I have been coaching families is that people need a sense of accountability. People need to hear other people's stories. People need to hear how the situation applies to how the skill that I'm teaching applies to their individual situation. And that part is hard to do on Facebook Live. It's the reason why I have group and private coaching available. And if you are one of those people who can learn and implement immediately, you should visit the guide section. There is a whole section where I have just tons and tons of videos where you can just put them on play and they'll keep going. And you can just watch and listen and implement. I love that for you. I'm actually one of those people. So I know that there are people out there who could do that. But for most people, there needs to be an element of interaction and an element of accountability in order for them to be successful. So I have created space where whatever it is you need, you can be successful here. If you are one of the people who actually needs hands-on help, and you'll know you're that person because you've probably attended my, webinars, I might have given you free access to my online curriculum, and it's just been sitting there, or Christina sent you a bunch of videos and you haven't yet watched them yet. If you find yourself in that boat, then you're probably one of the people who need a little bit of accountability to keep going. And that's okay. You don't want to give yourself a hard time for that. We all need what we need. So if you're one of those people who needs a little bit of accountability and you need somebody to dive in with you and figure out how the skills are applicable to your situation, or how to use the skills with a teenager versus a toddler or whatever, please don't hesitate to reach out. I have so many different programs and I have so many different price points because it really matters to me that the families that need my help, that cost isn't a factor. I don't want the reason why somebody's fighting with their kids or spanking their kids or yelling at their kids or struggling with their partner to be finances. It has always been super important to me that families can get the help they need at any price point that they're able to afford. So please make sure that if you need that help, that you reach out to either Christina or myself, and we will figure out which is the program that's for you. Some of you might not know that I also help families who are navigating divorce, because I feel like I haven't talked about this recently, and I think I'll probably do another live on this soon. But for you, if you're in a family situation where you're, just getting started with a divorce situation and you don't want to harm your kids in the process, you don't want to cause extra trauma to the family. You want it to be the healthiest possible outcome. Um, that is also, I serve clients like that too, and it's difficult work, but it is some of the most rewarding work that I do. So I don't talk about that as much as I probably should, but if you're in that boat, let me know, and I will get you plugged in where you need to be plugged in as well. All right, take care of yourself. Be gentle with yourself as you are learning these difficult skills and as you are trying. If you are watching these videos and you're not making the progress you want to make, it's not because there's something wrong with you, I promise you. Your brain just needs help getting to the next step. And so be kind to your brain and make sure you're taking the next step if you need that, okay? Take care of yourself. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.